Hey, today in the studio we have the one and only Marc Trost. Marc is the founder of Marc Trost Financial. And one of the questions people have is, how do I find someone to help me with my money? How do I know I'm working with the right financial advisor? Do I need to get 3, 4, 5 opinions? I need someone I trust for sure. So how can you spot the difference between someone who really cares about you and someone who just wants to sell you products?
Well, as you said, not all are created equal, and we all do this for varying different reasons. And one thing that somebody should always do is interview. Go in and sit down and have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If the advisor is wanting to have a fee up front for that conversation and you're comfortable with it, fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not comfortable, then obviously that's not a good fit for you. But you want to make certain that the person is someone that you can get along with because it is going to be a long-term financial relationship. I tell that to my clients.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yes, if you're working with me and my firm, this is going to be a long-term financial relationship. This is going to be something that we have conversations with on a regular basis. You call, you email with questions, we have appointments, we have follow-ups, we have catch-ups. Heck, if you have a new grandbaby that just arrived, or you have a new addition to the family through your son getting married, or some life event, let us know. So that's something that every advisor needs to be worried about. But is that somebody that you feel comfortable working with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to look forward to talking with your advisor.
Right. And I have actually made they're clients, but I consider them to be friends. So we have, uh, some very, very good clients. We tend to be very close knit. And I have one lady that I had many long conversations with over the summer during COVID when we
Oh,
were all quarantined.
okay.
So
Yeah, you become more than just a financial advisor. You may be a life advisor.
well, that was very special on that one because she had a lot going on with her parents and they were very old school and they needed to get prepared for a lot of things. And her parents didn't understand exactly what needed to be done. And she was asking a lot of questions so that she could understand because of what my family had gone through was very similar to what her family was about to go through and what they were experiencing at that point. So, a lot of similarities, and we were able to help show her and tell her, hey, this is something that would help you and benefit you and your parents, and it worked out for the better in the long run.
Good. So you're able to use what you've learned through your family, through your own experiences to help your clients.
Yes, so my family, we had the good, the bad, and the what on earth happened type of situations a couple of times. So, and that does lend to itself a lot of why I do what I do, and I do rely on that for how I approach things with my clients. I want to make certain that they don't experience some of the things that happen with my family.
That's such a great perspective to be able to use what we've learned in the past to help other people. So, what is a red flag that might indicate that your advisor isn't acting in your best interest?
If you have an advisor that is saying you need to buy this, well, what's the reason? Well, because I need you to buy this, and here's without going in depth and understanding your situation, you might be working with the wrong advisor. Last year, I had some clients, new clients to the firm come in, and it turns out they're friends of the family. Our kids work together apparently. And I knew them, but from a distance. And they came in and sat down with me, and we had quite the conversation. Traded quite a bit of tales with about our kids and the things that we've
Mm-hmm.
done.
Mm-hmm.
But it was about 2.5 hours we sat and spent with them, and their main concern was our advisor is telling us we need to buy this policy. We need to buy this life insurance policy with a long-term care rider on it, and we need to do it. It's going to cost us $10,000 a year. They were given, a time frame. You need to do this by this date. Come to a decision. And they didn't feel comfortable with that. They thought that they needed to work on other things. And they came in and sat down and just going through the basic discovery and talking with them and them showing me what it is that they've got and what they're doing, it came up that you don't need this, not yet. You do need it, but this is not the right time for this.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I told them that was because they had a lot of other things going on, and spending that additional amount each year out of pocket would have created a financial burden upon them. And that was only, to the best of my knowledge and from what I could see, really only for the benefit of the advisor because they were trying to make that sale.
And one of the things that we can gain by working with a firm like yours is a whole picture of our financial life so that we know that what we need to do and when. So we're looking at the holistic view versus, oh, it would be really nice to have this life insurance in case this happened or this happened, but that's only one small aspect of what could happen in someone's lifetime. I mean, there could be a lot of other things other than somebody dying that could happen where you need money. For example, if someone is ill and needs to be taken care of, or, unexpected other life events. So what does your firm do to make sure that you guys have covered all the bases? If you've looked at all the, I don't know if we can ever say everything, but we do have a way of looking at things where what if the unpredictable happens?
That is always the big question that we deal with, the what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
And we do our best to cover those as absolutely much as possible. And we do that by gathering as much information as we can get our hands
Mm-hmm.
on, frankly. Some clients are more than happy to do that. Some are not. We can only go so far as the client will allow us to go and feel as comfortable in doing. Obviously, the more information we have, the better the output can be and the more solutions we can come up with. And the various pieces of software that we have at our disposal allow us to paint a pretty clear picture for somebody in determining, well, if we were to look at it from this perspective, or maybe you need to approach it from a tax perspective, what is this going to do for you? How does this work for you moving forward? And that's really where we have become, kind of stand out from a lot of people, in that we want to understand what our clients' needs are instead of just making that sale, because we want clients for life. And we want to make certain that we are working with those clients and doing what's in their best interest. And I have clients right now that are, that I work with now, their parents and their kids. So it becomes a multi-generational thing there for the firm, but also for the parents and those clients to have that level of trust in us. And quite frankly, I don't use the term lightly when I say I'm quite honored when I get that type of referral to a family member. It is
Mm-hmm.
quite something that says, we've done right by that individual to earn that level of trust.
Yeah, and there's a lot of buzzwords thrown around in the industry. One of them is that word fiduciary, and that's a fancy word for
Trust.
uh-huh.
So a fiduciary is, as licensed individuals, everybody has that fiduciary responsibility to the client.
Mm-hmm.
We all must do what is in the client's best interests, regardless of whether it impacts our pocketbook or bank account or production level or what. We cannot do it in the best interest of the carrier or the insurance company or whoever. It has to be, and I have to be able to justify that it's in the best interest of the client and that it makes sense. And we spend a lot of time going over that.
Now, who oversees that? If someone says, well, he wasn't acting in my best interest, who did they report that to, and how does that affect a client's practice if they have complaints against them in that regard?
Well, it would depend on what it is regarding. So if it's regarding an insurance policy or an annuity or some sort of insurance type contract, you're going to report that to the state in which they reside, and that agent should be licensed within that state. If it's regarding managed money, then it's going to depend on how the individual is licensed. You can report that to either FINRA, FinCEN, or the SEC. So one of those regulatory bodies will be able to investigate that for them and see, and make certain that, yes, this made sense, or no, it did not.
So it is your responsibility as a consumer to make sure that you are working with an advisor that you can trust.
Always. Just like your doctor or your attorney or even your CPA, you go to them, and if you don't trust what they're telling you, what are you going to do? You're going to go get a second opinion.
So we talked about coming in and looking at someone face to face, and I do believe that is the best way to connect with someone, to see if the relationship is going to move forward. And what if, someone has been working with someone and then they find that they're uncomfortable and they might want to make a change? What is the strategy, the best way to do that? If they get a second opinion and now they've decided they're going to shift to a new firm, what is the process of doing that? Is it painful?
Typically not, no. But it also depends on what the other advisory firm is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to always alleviate that and take as much stress and time and off of the client as possible. We don't want to make it a contentious situation. Well, most of the times, the other advisory firm, they understand that and they're not there to create waves. Sometimes they want to fight for keeping the client. Again, at that point, they're not working in the client's best interest. They're only working on their own pocketbook. So then I would really be concerned about them at that point.
Because when they're choosing a financial advisor, you make a choice and you want to make sure that you don't stay in a situation where they aren't acting in your best interests, and it might be a good idea to get a second opinion to explore other options.
Always.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mark. It's been great talking to you today. And I know that your firm is anxious to help people, anxious to create that trust and that long-term relationship. And so going forward, what is the best way for someone to find you?
They can always reach us on our website at marktrostfinancial.com, or they can just simply email me at mark@marktrostfinancial.com.
Okay, fantastic. And this will be in the show notes below. And if you have gotten good information, if you feel like you've learned something about choosing a financial advisor that you can trust, that can help you with your goals, with your kids, with your future, just please like and subscribe on this podcast. That would be fantastic. And we would look forward to hearing from you more in the future, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.